Like we talked about last week, hardened hearts want to label people as this or that, not in order to reflect the truth, but rather in order to justify sins against truth and charity. In the same way, people want to oversimplify history in order to make history into an ideological narrative. The most conspicuous instance of this is the Marxist lies about history. They break everything into a struggle between us and them, the rich versus the poor, the black versus the white, Europeans versus Indians, etc. And then they look at history and they magnify this struggle so as to inflame the emotions of people today and whip up a mob of violent and angry people. But it starts with an ideological use and abuse of history. What the Marxists are saying here about history is half true. Obviously, there's always been conflict between different people groups, but there's also been harmony between peoples. The point is that the Marxist narrative intentionally uses an oversimplification of historical events to inflame your emotions now and harden your heart by labeling other people. But just like we saw last time, the Orthodox Catholics can also make history into ideology by oversimplifying all the complex historical realities and events. The best example of this, in my view, is the Second Vatican Council, an event which had dozens of different historical causes and effects, many of which were problems of the 19th century, as we will see.
Before Pelican Plus, creators had to look for ad revenue from secular social media algorithms, which was an unpredictable way to raise a family. Now Pelican Plus sustains many families, including mine, through our Catholic business. This is only possible due to the support of the Founders Club members. If you're interested in helping save Catholic media and helping families like mine, become a Founders Club member today at pelicanplusfounders.club.
In my opinion, both trad Catholics and conservative Catholics can fall into an ideological view of the history of Vatican II. In reality, it was much more complex than would allow anyone to use and abuse to justify their narratives. So let's try to do what we can here to, number one, provide a framework which provokes us to charity for our neighbor, causing us to interpret doubtful things for the best, and number two, simplifies the complexity of history without creating an ideological narrative out of the history. Let me quickly define the first point here, and then we will proceed to our history. Last week, we shared that excellent quote from Solzhenitsyn about the fact that it's impossible to completely label anyone as all good or all bad before death. Now, let's read an important text from the Summa to help us keep our hearts open to the reality of each human person. This is from Secunda Secundae, question 60, article 4. In this article, St. Thomas asks, when we see our neighbor doing something that appears sinful, but is not manifestly clearly sinful, what should we do? In other words, this is known as a doubtful matter or doubts. We don't know for certain whether what was done was a sin or not. Quote,